on there. You should be on your end.
Okay. We'll just see
things popping up and what have you.
And so forth. Hi, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Honi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So I'm so honored. I'm so grateful that you are coming to talk in our group and with me. And I'm very, you know, the word nervous has a negative connotation, but I'm excited, right? And a little bit of a like,
Too cute, too precious.
I think sometimes, you know, my body knows when things are big or important, you know, before the rest of me can handle it.
Yeah.
Right?
The vibrations begin doing their magic.
Yeah. So, you know, so I'll keep the tissues as I find that as I need to, as I'm trying to hold a high vibration, what'll happen is the excess, I guess you could say, will spill out, you know, in water.
Mm-hmm.
My eyes.
Yeah.
Typically.
There's this energy usually when we see each other and there's this eye contact and there's like this stream of the etheric waters begin coming down into this plane. And it's like the tears of the Magdalenes, you know, start like pouring down.
Yes, I just have to like look at you or think about it or think about coming.
My goodness.
Toward you. So, which makes me, well, let me please introduce yourself. There's a lot of things that you offer and that you bring forth. So I would love to hear them all.
Introduce myself.
Please.
It's so interesting, this word introduce in here. So in this time, space, reality. So first, but let me just share. Yeah, this is such a joy in my heart. Just to be a witness to this moment between you and I, you and the camera on that end, and like having a conversation, interview, and this, it's so beautiful from several years ago to this moment. And then I've been watching how you've just been going at it, you know, it's so precious. So of course I made a little post on our 40 days circle. It's just so preciousness. So thank you so much. So thank you for inviting me. And I am a multidimensional being. That's the easiest, and I fully emerged in my extraterrestrial consciousness. So what I am, what I do, I feel like what I am is an extension of Source Light, just here to serve, literally serve that in which has called to honor. And so I'm very clear in that space. And so the way the creative energy is asked to utilize my vessel in contribution of raising the vibration, assisting for the personal ascension or the planetary ascension, is in multiple ways. And these multiple ways are they really reflect on where I am in my own spectrum of my ascension. So having said that, there are these waves that I go through in facilitating certain level of, lack of the better word, healing or transformation. And once I start feeling like, okay, I no longer can fully serve this specific, let's say, modality or a vehicle or this creative expression because the other part of me has stepped forward, I got to shift that. So I go inward and I go back into the inner temple of the study, and then I come bring the next level in. So currently there are multiple ways. I mean, you know, just like many individuals, I've had my training in various healing modalities, and anyone that I did study, I also let it go very quickly as well, because I felt it was part of helping me remember my own essence. And then once I tapped into the more of the spectrum of that essence, I knew it has served its purpose, and so it was gone. And also at the same time, being a very strong rebellion indigo being, I have to rebel against everything too. So, so I can't follow anything that's been standardized, taught, or, so then I have to bring my own in.
Don't you think it's more than just being a rebel? I mean, I think it's also a knowing.
Yeah, it is. It is the knowing.
Integrity,
absolutely.
Right? Of choosing to only align yourself with, the things that are not of, I don't, for lack of a better word, the patriarchal control system.
No, that's not what I'm referring to. So what I'm referring to, for example, when I was trained in Reiki, so I felt very blessed to study privately. It wasn't a weekend workshop or anything like that. It was privately. Every Wednesday, I would go sit with the teacher in her garden, very, very deep. I was like the only student she'd take on for a year. So extremely deep level, and go through the different levels. But also what that in which was shared was so wonderful and beautiful, part of my own awareness. Yet I knew deep inside, this is not for me. The vibration didn't feel aligned. The vibration felt there's something else. And as soon as something else came, this was let go, and then the next part came, and it's been continuous like that.
Right.
So that's to wrap around the question you asked, what you do, or what, what do you offer? So,
and you took like the essence of so many different things, which is sort of a multidimensional thing also, right? And all the things that really were of true remembrance to you, you sort of keep those seeds, if you will, right? And then you kind of like,
right. Well, there is that, and also there is that. It's see, that in which we're seeking is always seeking us, right? So we are the vibration, and where we are draws these modalities and what have you to us, and where it does, there's that awakening that happens in the remembrance. And within that remembrance, it's like, okay, once that door of remembrance opens, then it starts, the floodgate opens, starts coming in. And so then that has served its purpose, is no longer needed, because it's gotten you to a destination, then the next level.
Right.
So, and I feel that's sort of like played in my life in terms of the ability to just continuously let go and not be attached at all. Whether it was like a center I had, whether I had product line, whether all of that. So that's been sort of like and we all go to our training ground first to be able to then sort of like up this octave, if you want to call it that. Right.
Yeah. I feel like I've watched you do some of that, but just the last, what have we known each other for, maybe 5 years?
I feel so. Something probably like 4 years or so.
Yeah.
I met you. You were 3.5 years ago. Within that year, 4 years ago, because I could you and here a couple other were like the last clients I saw for QHHT. Because I knew I just couldn't anymore. That everything was shifting.
Speaking of
for
that,
right? That's how we met.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I totally remember that day I met you, when you called and you came. So precious.
Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. So let's see. I met Honi. I found you on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
On the internet. I didn't know that. I thought it was through Miriam.
It was through a picture on Facebook that you were in with Miriam.
Okay, gotcha.
Where you're tagged. I was like, who's that?
Nice.
I was like, I need to know who that is. What I mean? It was like one of those.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so it was like that. Okay.
It was like that. And then what was interesting is that at the same time, so it was, of course, we have these different things that as you were saying, sort of take us to a new space. And one of the biggest ones for me was being pregnant for the first time and giving birth. And so it was shortly after that, sort of the year after giving birth to Jackson, I started to, I met somebody on Instagram who had transitioned or died and come back, and was listening to the stories about that, which led me to the book, Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yes.
Which led me to wanting to get a past life regression, which led me to the teacher appearing, which was the Facebook, who's that? And then, oh, look what she does.
That book did it for so many of us.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that book.
Yeah, exactly.
My mind apart. It was amazing to me. I mean, it was amazing. So I was like checking out, and I was like, well, this is really over the top. Like, I don't know about this, like I'm sure you've heard this from, different ways, in different ways from different people, right? I don't know, because you're fully authentic in your I am presence, right? And that's unique and amazing. And I respect and love it so much. I really look up to it, but I didn't know what to do with that in that state of being, I was like, what's going on, so
precious, just precious. I remember when you came, you were just like, we talk on the phone, but just like, it was just this energy, this incredible energy that was like, and then, and when you came, what was so powerful that day, what I remember when we were just having a conversation, and I kept seeing to the window of my left, which usually the Akashic records open up. I kept seeing you as like leader of woman, and like just keep seeing you with like all these another warrior, another female warrior. I was like, oh yeah, she's one of us. She just kind of doesn't remember it, all the way. And it was beautiful. And I knew you were a powerhouse, but I also was aware, just like everything else, some of these life conditions and environment had an impact. And so it was beautiful. It was a very beautiful experience we had. And just that spark that took off after that, and then we've been in each other's lives, and just precious, this preciousness.
Yeah, it's been a gift. I mean, it's been such a, I think back all the time, 5 years ago, would I ever imagine like this moment, kind of like what you were saying earlier, and I don't think I could have or would have, but it's funny because others saw it, and you get into a community, like a spiritual community, and your friends are seeing things for you and such, right, from time to time. So, others had kind of seen me going in this direction, before I was even able to wrap myself around it, you being one of those people, of course. Probably the first one in that time, So.
And that happens, Gia, for all of us. We can see, I remember 15 years ago, just to make it more comfortable for you. I remember I was with this one of my healer friends, because when I had my center, I had all these healers that were doing, facilitating also healing. And of course, I was the owner and, all the other stuff, but I wasn't facilitating any kind of healing, nothing like that, because I was very focused this other way. And I remember there's a very sacred man, Jim Goodwin, who was called, he was known as the human X-ray. And because the way it was a medical intuitive, and the way he could see into the body. And so he really had this vision that I'll be collaborating with him, just the preciousness. And I was like, no. So, we had lunch one day, and he looked at me. He's like, you realize you're going to be doing magnificent healings. I was like, Jim, I was like, seriously, like, I was like, no, not me. No, that's like everybody else. Like, I just bring you all together and introduce you. Not me. That's not me. I don't even want to go there. Don't even bother with me. And this is 2006, 2005. So it's, you know, and I was like, no, nothing to do with
what I was doing then. Yeah.
nothing. And he's like, honey, it's going to be really big, and you're going to be leading other leaders. I was like, no. Meanwhile, inside of me, as I just didn't even want to hear that word. But I didn't want to hear it because deep inside of me, from when I was even 5, I knew that's what I came here for. You know, but I just didn't want to face it, to tell you the truth, because it was tremendous responsibility. And at that time, my schedule was filled and I had everything down to the T. And I wanted nothing to do with this level of conversation.
Right.
So we all have gone through it, but they see clearly through us.
Yeah. That very much resonates. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I was so nervous. I mean, I think like I was back to what we were saying earlier, in my body sometimes, you know, understanding the magnitude of something or the vibration of something. I feel like where I'm sitting, there's like someone here.
Yeah, there is. That too.
Presence. It's like I can see right there.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. I was so nervous and had so much resistance, but I knew I had to do it. You know, I knew I had to do it. And I remember I definitely barfed that morning, you know, out of just like sheer, you know, and then you and I have learned, now it's a joke, I'm a barfer. I mean, that's what I do. You know, that's how I deal with my energies or whatever. Barfing.
Right.
And that's that's what it is. You know, and I think back to my pregnancy and how I joke about that being my ayahuasca ceremony because of the purging of how much I got sick and how much I cried and how much all of that, you know, was, and how similar is, okay, well, that's my purge. And I know you have yours and you share those with us sometimes. And which I appreciate, you know, because we all go through that in order to do that, I feel like. So
yes, exactly.
So yeah, it was a really amazing experience. And you were like, you know, I just, you know, what did you say? Like, we're family.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
No, I'm Italian. I don't remember.
Cool, sis. Like, I don't know what that means, but that's cool. And I think you're super awesome. So I'm just gonna give me more of that, whatever it is. So you know, it's kind of like that. And then it's a spark of, you're right. Like, and if you remember, I feel it didn't like work for me. And I think a lot of people have that worry, like, is it not going to work? It did work. Of course it worked. Look, here we are. It worked.
It worked exactly how it's supposed to work, because and you know what, Gia, like some individuals, like at that time, even like, because you were very aware of the presence of that higher self, but for it to come through, you perhaps could not have handled that level of vibration at that time. And again, there's this perfection and what seems imperfect, and that's why I shared, you know, it's like there are some that don't, and it's okay, because once you experience just even going into that theta brainwave, and the interaction begins, the pathways open, and that connection takes place. It will still do, because it's still very transformative, and you know, and it does what it does exactly. Right. And sometimes it takes the time, the timing is in a way that it has to be done very differently. So it's just perfect. There is no wrong. It's just, there's no wrong. I mean, there have been individuals who already, like, these hundreds of cases I did. I mean, I had people that would go places that was, I mean, beyond like I had ever experienced. And so then there's the range, you know, the range of, you know, I had like, you know, higher selves, you know, majority would be to speak. The whole point was to take people, the past life was important, but have that higher self connection with that higher self. And if that higher self could speak through, if that's the biggest part, great. But if even feels it, that's great, because its connection has maybe the whole thing is just that connection. And then there was this like 5% category that was beyond the higher self, which is kind of like hard to even fathom that, which then there were the higher self, because I could start to experience things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, the higher self, is this individual connected to, like, for example, even a higher state of consciousness? And then they would say, yes, we'll now step aside. And then I would have, and that's when the direct communication with the super galactics began. Like I remember one of the ones, Gia, through this one client, the presence would come in, introduce themselves as the avatar blue rays of the 19th dimension from the corridor. They would give the actual coordinates
like
of where they were located, literally, and their description. So I have, that's like that 5%. So I had communication from beings from 19th dimension, 22nd, 34th actually, and the highest was 72nd. And I had no idea this consciousness even existed, but they would come, and that's when they were speaking in language. All of that light language really began then, because they were speaking in different. And I would say, can you please communicate in earth language? So I had to learn how to communicate, and that's when I was starting to experience so much myself as a facilitator. What was happening to me, that multidimensional aspect of me from that presence was coming in, me starting to go into the language of it. And that's really why I stopped, because I couldn't take person into that level, and me myself, because I most people don't know, Gia, I would have like crystals around me, and I would be poking myself to stay my body, because I would see the portals open up, and I was just going. I'm like, somebody bring me back. Like the person is deep out, and I'm about to go together. Like, this is a disaster. So that's really why I stopped that 3.5 years ago.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
For safety reasons.
I mean, literally for both of us, you know. But that's when that next, I had to take off, because that's the honing in of this
to the next thing
really began.
Which is really, is that where you moved into working around the earth, or was that the gratitude?
No, I was doing that before. I had been doing that for 3.5 years ago. So 4 years I had already been, because that began immediately after I was sent back to my body. So all of that began right after.
Let's go back to that. So
let's go to January 8th, 2012. Yeah. So what do you want to know?
So 108, 2012, and your name's Honi.
Isn't it interesting? One of these days, I know. One of these days, Gia, I always said when I'm 55, I'm going to step forward, because I'm finally mature enough. I'm going to say, I am Honi. Like, I can finally own it. Yeah. I feel like I'm still playing around a little. So I can own it.
It's just funny, because people always think or ask me how to pronounce your name, and their guess is always Honi.
Yeah, it's Honi.
I joke about Eric correcting me, and I was like, I mean, we're friends though. Like, wouldn't she tell me if it wasn't the right name? Like,
yeah. The correct pronunciation is Mahani. You know, Mahani. That's really the correct pronunciation. And Om means the mother of. That's the Arabic name for the ultimate mother. and of course Om, the sound. So of course everything makes sense. I'm connected to the Divine Mother. Like everything is finally like lining up. And Honi is an Arabic name, and it's named after Prophet Muhammad's first cousin, who was the first female fighter in the battles of Karbala with her son. So for the first 3 months when I was born, I didn't have a name because my mom just couldn't decide what to name me. So it took a while. 3 months I didn't have a name.
That's a while.
That's a while. I was nameless, and I mean, I wasn't wanted as a child. I was like all this stuff. So I was nameless. And then one day my mother's cousin said, "Did you finally name her?" My mom was like, "No, I don't know what to name her." So then some other conversation when she told my mother about Honi, and she's like, "Tell me about her." And she said, "Yeah, it was the first female fighter in the battles of Karbala, and she's the one who hit Prophet Muhammad, and they were very close and what have you." My mom right away that had to be my name. So I'm named, I mean, obviously I'm a female warrior in this life. I mean, I had to come in and battlefield. So Michael usually says the amount of battlefields, like when he works on me, like the amount of battlefields that I've been in is not just from this lifetime, but you know.
That's one of the things you were telling me. I remember with what you were viewing in the Akashic records on during the QHHT was you're like, you've been the leader and the captain in so many different wars.
Yep.
So I know you saw me sort of in that female warrior, and I think also in the masculine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you said a gladiator. I think you said like an army type of fighting. I mean, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's why we in this incarnation became like freaking battlefield in our families, you know, coming because you're like,
it's just like you have this essence to you that's like, okay, let's do what we got to do, you know, warriors of freedom or love or peace or.
I mean, there are individuals
with that power, energy behind it, you know.
Right, and there are individuals who are the peaceful warriors, beautiful. Like Michael is that. Like that ain't me. I'm a warrior of light. Here, these sleeves are rolled up. Let's get down, get the dirty work done.
My earring.
So, yeah, you know. So yeah,
I love it. So okay.
So having said that, so 2012, and you know, 2012, so many individuals went through that. On a soul agreement, so many of us agreed to go through the massive realignment. That was the one that
I did some big
shit. Exactly.
Not like that.
Yeah, but I mean, however way it was in the soul agreement, whether it was, you know, moving, whether it was job loss, whether it was partnerships changing, whether it was marriages I mean, okay, whatever it was, or
marriage, job, diet,
everything, all of that, right?
So that's a lot.
Exactly. And so,
you know, transition to spirit and come back.
Well, not everybody sign up for it. See, we have to understand that everybody is there where they are, right? Because depending on what you have agreed to serve, you will only receive that in which you agreed. So for me, it was however way that was, but that direct experience was kicked me into the gear to sort of like lead this ascension wave and start bringing this golden era into the actual earth, alchemizing it, being like totally, and when you really look back, you realize like your birth chart, the way the stars were aligned, you come and you chose that specific to serve it. So me being I'm not attached to any of these, however it has its purpose. Being a Taurus, being that bull, you know, the bull starts piling the ground, laying the foundation. And for me, it's always been laying the groundwork,
that
foundation.
Energy, like,
right, and grounding the energy. So naturally, if I was like air elements, there's no way I would have been wiped out. In order to be able to what I experience in a frequency, being in spirit side, to bring it in and then to serve it, being in this Victorian energy, grounding it was very necessary. So looking back makes a lot of sense, but at that time, obviously, it's like a disaster while you're in it. So
it makes sense to me too. And the other Taurus sort of heavy people I know have this sort of individual allegiance or authenticity about them, where it's like, this is the way I will define, like, with my own connection, what is, what is right for my frequency. And that is all it is.
Yeah.
There's no sort of compromise around that. There's in a good way. I mean, okay, so all signs, as we know, without attachment, can go in all directions.
Absolutely.
It can be awesome,
Absolutely.
it can be awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the good side of it, the good way of it, there's just this really true brave.
Yeah. And it goes in the front, like Bo goes and starts doing, and is a worker, like, and you can rely on it, consistency, like it will do the task that it's designed. And so that's why I had to be in this. So when an experience like that happened, being able to experience life after death in the spirit plane, and having memory to come back and share, because many, when they do go, they have fragment remembrance. Most can't just remember their lives. I interviewed actually many people because I wanted to see what they experienced. Is there anybody that I can like talk to that had like experience I had? And I actually barely found anybody that I could really talk to, especially with the Galactics. Like it's, but later on became a little bit better. Right. So with that frequency, then what happens is like the whole system reshifts, the whole wiring is reshifted, everything is shifted, especially when there's something when the heart stops, and for quite a while, I have suspected that this presence that's in here is a walk-in, has memories of the childhood, all of this stuff, but this one that's in this body is not quite the same. That soul agreement shifted. I've often quite suspected that, not 100%, but because I don't have quite a bit of memory of certain things, which does happen with those who have had death experiences and been sent back. And it wasn't a near death experience, because near death is is different. When you have had your heart stopped completely, that's a full death, and then you cross over. So it's not like just your heart skipped the beat. That's two different vibrations. So
you had both happen in your life, right?
Yeah, I've had a few of them actually, but
more than okay.
Yeah, so my very right. I mean, the very first one is when I was 6 months, dying when I was in the hospital. So they called my mom to come finally they notified her she's dying, come get her. So that was like the first one. I mean, there's been many times trying to exit. And the other one is when I was like about 6 years, I think like 6 years old or something, in ocean I drowned. And that's the one I had talked about. But somehow I was washed up to the shore, and I have no idea how I could, but I remember the water filled me in, and I remember like my eyes going out, all I could see was the light. Wow. And then next thing I was on the shore, and I hadn't died fully. But the one when I was 7, that was a profound near-death experience, because I had my heart didn't stop, but I fully came out of my body and went above me, way beyond. I was ginormous. And that was the first taste of experiencing what it was like to be in my higher dimensional body, being actually my I am present, this ginormous being, or probably not I am presence, but more like my Christ itself, that ginormous being. So, I mean, there's been numerous ones, but this one in 2000 was an actual full death. And that's when I experienced like the world of spirit. And I feel, Gia, the most important part of this, to have experienced the beauty, the joy, the ecstasy, the true celebration, and like the wow and the awe of the world of spirit and what it is, and the dynamic and the colors and the vibrations, and that this is a reality that we'll go to. So, and how beautiful it is to know this, so that we can actually start living, because most individuals are not living because their entire life functions around not dying. The fear of death has not allowed them to actually live. So, and I feel that's been the biggest part of, I mean, of course, all the experiences, to be a messenger of light, and to share the beauty of there actually is no death. I feel the biggest illusion and lie that's been told, that there is a death. There is no death. There's not. There's a change in form, and but there is. It's just it's really just a transition. So, anyway.
Yeah, I think that you telling me that sort of in that way was one of the times, or maybe the first time, that I really felt like comforted by it. Like I felt it was real. And I think it was when I came for the QHHT, but it's just that, you know, I can tell that you say it as a fact from your own experience.
Yeah.
You know,
that's all I have. I don't have another one.
To you, because that's what happened, you know, for you. So it was very comforting to me. And then, you know, when my brother transitioned,
that's right,
you were there, and, you know, sharing some messages for me in that were also just really, again, comforting, and just in helping me understand things in a way that just makes sense to me, you know, that feel right to me, you know, which I think is something we're all searching for in some way. And there's just a lot to be said for, I mean, I think you're born, by the way, I know, probably don't go down the astrology hole too far. You probably did it a long time ago.
Yeah, I just don't resonate. But go ahead, but you can share. Like, you know, I've done my human design, everything, all of that. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah. But tell me, because I do still hear.
So you were born in the week of the teacher, I believe. And I just feel like, along with my mom, my best friend Jill,
that's right,
my best friend from middle school, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's like, it's interesting how you attract. And then, it's just funny that that's the name of the week. You know, someone named it that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, because it's like,
interesting.
Have opened a lot of doors, you know, and then, you know, allow the space for someone to figure it out or come to it in their way, or along their path. I think that's really important. You know, not to.
I do feel I'm a space holder, because I feel like I do. There's a responsibility that I have to divine. Like I made that post the other day. Like I work for divine. Like that's who I respond to. So there's nobody else that I respond to but divine. Just I have to sit in that presence every single day and be my naked soul truth. Like, how am I delivering? Am I delivering that in which I am in honor and joy and celebration to work on your behalf? You know, am I, you know, okay, and then catch myself, catch my shit, catch the bullshit, anything that I'm doing that is, you know, in jeopardy or not in integrity or harmony of that. And I really push myself. Like I mean, I stand behind, like I hold myself highest accountable, like, you know, so I'm part, but not from a place of, not from a place, not from a place of like judgment, out of depth of love, like out of depth, like I'm in service to this. So
bhakti, dedication, love, you know.
It is that devotion to that presence. Like I feel so blessed to have experienced that vibration of love that I looked for all my life in this incarnation. All my life in this incarnation, Gia, I was searching. I was asking since I was very little, what happened to the love? I feel that's been probably the most amount of damage that was done to my soul when I came in this incarnation, because I couldn't understand what happened to the love. I was so just so devastated. Like, the love is not here. What is this place? They don't have the love, and I just know it. That truth was so ginormous with me, and it was only when I died, I touched it again, and I tasted and experienced it, and like the truth that I knew was real became present, available to me again. And of course, when I met the Golden Council of two of the Arcturian elders, like, oh,
I
like,
can't even imagine
that presence.
what that would be like.
Oh my gosh. And of course, nothing ever prepares any of us, I feel, in human form, when we, even in spirit form, when I met beloved Yeshua, like that vibration, like all I gotta do is for a split of a second being myself there, and I'm jolted. And that's why still within the human form, we cannot handle that level of love, because it's that level of truth that we are from, that we are extended from, that we are created from. We're the extension of that source light. And the second we come into it, it blasts us in such ecstasy, and that the vibration it's like we can't even stay in our body. And so as a result of it, that truth is so piercing, and Master Jesus became the Christ through his ascension process to become a planetary Christ, to help us remember that becoming Christus, becoming crystalline is our way of going through this ascension. We'll be getting there, but we have to really raise this vibration. All of these debris have to transcend and transmute out of us, because these debris are the illusion of separation from the true essence of our divine presence. So, and the really the living vibration of divine that we are. So that's why, he really helped that space. And when I experienced that love, that frequency was marked within my vessel. And that's why when I was sent back, I was to anchor it then into the earth ley line. And then I had the memories before Earth was created, what I was doing with this. So then now, from this way out, I'm completing this last human incarnation. So, and it is the crystalline Christus frequency. It is the Christ consciousness. So it's not just a thought of the Christ consciousness. It's not just a word. It is a presence in its frequency field. As I got on the road from these specific places on the land, and also the individuals who are part of this luminous vibration, that are part of the anchoring these frequencies, that I will meet them along the way. And when we come together, it's got that spark, because that truth is expanding. So it wraps around the stratosphere on Earth for us returning back in human form, anchor the living codes of light, and also bringing forth this golden era that we talk about, that we were in when we were in Atlantis, we were in when we were in Lemuria. We have those memories, and also to give rise to what's called these cities of light that are also in the etheric octave, that we can now begin to bring them, alchemize them, anchor them. And that's why these relations are happening. That's why the truth of them are so, like, there are no words us that can capture the essence that which we feel, because it's just a deep knowing, and it's this golden energy, and that's the Christed frequency. And it's not Jesus the Christ, it's not the Christian Christ, it's not, though they were attempting to capture that, but it is Christos. It's when we are anointed by the divine oil of illumination, literally.
1 second. That's all amazing. I don't have words for that. Thank you. I'm going to say hi because people are talking to us.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Hi,
Okay.
Miriam.
Oh, Miriam Sadar. Hi.
And Sandhya and Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Megan, Taurus energy. She's feeling the love.
No.
About the, she's feeling it about the where is the love so deeply, she's saying.
Yeah, definitely.
So, wow, that's really beautiful. And so that also segues into the gratitude group, because you went around the world, you made all these connections, right? To
Well,
kind of
first it wasn't the connection. First, it was just service. I do have to share this, Gia, because I feel like on a person, because this is such a personal thing. I feel like, you know, it took me 4 years later to make that video about what happened when I had died. Because for individuals if I really want to share this, if you know anybody who's just been sent back, they've died, they've experienced coma or whatever, if they've been sent back, they're not going to have the words to put it into perspective. And I feel like they really need support to find courage to even speak it. I do have to say, when this happened, it was a very difficult time for me. I had a group of all healer friends, but nobody actually really fully believed me. That's number one, because I didn't die in a hospital. So there's this idea you must die in a hospital to have validation and death certificate and what have you. This is crack of shit. So you can die anywhere on the side of the road and have a full, and it's not a near death when your heart has actually stopped. So I just want to share this. The other part is, Gia, that part was very, very different, because when I was sent back to my body, I was healed within 3 days completely. At that time, I was only 70 pounds. I'd lost 30 pounds within 3 weeks. I had fever that wasn't stopping, my throat. I mean, the body aching me. It was awful. Wow. It was awful what I was experiencing. I mean, it just horrible. And my whole family was distraught. And I was preparing, constantly talking to my children that mommy's getting ready to leave. I mean, it was just very difficult. Like when you know you're dying and to go through that process and what have you. So when I was sent back, everything transformed within me, and it was take off, Gia, take off time. So within 3 days, the first thing was the holistic physician that I was in. I went and saw him, and they did all the blood work, all of this again. He's like, what happened? Like, you know, like they couldn't explain in the medical community and what have you. And from there, I had very specific task and instruction. Doctorians had come in and they had begun speaking. And that was the first time that to start really hearing this level of communication, very matter of fact, very clear. And they wanted me to get on the assignment, get on the road. It wasn't even meet people. They wanted me to get on the road. Gia, you have to understand. Imagine, like, for example, you right now, suddenly you have an experience and this thing comes in. Okay, you have to let go of everything, children, husband,
that's why
everything.
It didn't happen that way for me, right?
Exactly. And then you got to get on the road. They want you to do transformational ceremony on the land. I was like, what the hell is a ceremony on the land? We will tell you. Like, what do you want me to do? We get in there. We want you to transform the energy of the land. What the hell does that even mean? When you get there, we'll tell, where am I supposed to go? We'll tell you. We'll show you everything. So you have to understand what level you're going to be.
I can't. The level of faith and the level of
level of faith and trust.
I can't even wrap my brain around some of the things I've heard you talk
about. I mean, it makes you. It's like.
Like, you're very brave.
Well, you have no, because the only bravery that comes is because once you've had that experience, there is no denying. That's the fuel that gives you the power. The power cannot be from your human form, Gia, my darling. It has to be so much bigger than you to give you the possibility. And I was scared shitless to just separate from my children. And, you know, and that was like the most
and just to like drive in the night in random places that you,
and then to go, and then where do you even get the money? And they want me to go here,
right.
and they want me
to PS shut down your business.
Yeah, oh, everything go, not everything, and but that had happened.
Yeah, like that's crazy. I mean, that's not that you, but it's just a crazy thing for me to imagine even attempting doing.
Yeah, so that was 4 years.
Dude,
4 years I was dedicated to that before I met you. So that's what I'm saying. Get on the airplane. We'll show you. Get in here. Get out the light. Go over here. Like very specific instructions.
Wow.
Showing to go. And then it's like, I remember the first time just even doing this, it was Sedona. I didn't know what the hell to do. All I know, we'll show you. And to get on the land, and what they keep showing me these 2 rivers. You need to find these 2 rivers on that. What the hell am I supposed to? We'll show you. You need to bring this. We're going to help bring this to. So it was, and I didn't even know how to bring it to. We need you to open your mouth. What do you mean? The voices are going to come out of you. Like, what the hell kind of voices are going to come? So that's had to be seclusion, because I felt it was bad enough that everybody else thought I had lost it. I thought I had lost it. No, like I was like, okay. So I have to tell you this, Gia. I remember when I went, and just around that time I had made my drums. I remember the drum was a big part of it, but I had no idea. I had no idea why I made this before I had died. Look at this. So as I started, and I didn't know, and I could hear like there are things that are wanting to come out of me. I'm so, what the hell is going on? You know, and they wanted to come. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Yeah, but I wanted to share that a little bit, Gia. So here, like, I mean, it's such a different place now, and I mean, there's just so much. I do have compassion. I have compassion for and respect. I do for what I have allowed to go through and be of service to Gia. And that's why, you know, I can see very clearly mad respect to whoever, whatever is doing, but I stay right here, whatever I'm asked, and whatever level they're pushing me, I study within the octaves of light, Gia. And I'm a disciple of discipline, practice of what they put me through, so that I can translate that in a vibration here. So for me,
Hello, I lost you. You're frozen. Oh, are you coming back? It looks like we might have been ended by